The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tori Antonino. I am chairing the Urban Forestry Committee meeting today. It is Thursday, March 16th. This meeting goes from 4:30 to 6:30, 2023. Pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 22, this meeting will be held remotely. And what I'd like to do is to start with introductions, and we'll go alphabetical by first name. I think that's Amy. And if you're in the car driving and
Hi,
can't...
can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hi, yeah, no, I'm on the bus. I'm almost home. Hi, my name's Amy. I am a member of the Urban Forestry Committee. My background is in ecology and insect community ecology, and I'm interested in preserving biodiversity in the city and preserving the health benefits of having a healthy tree canopy. Thank you.
Correct.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Breck Miller. I am the city tree warden.
Hello, I'm Chris Dwan. I'm a local activist. I'm the other co-chair of the Urban Forestry Committee. I am very excited to see our urban canopy and the associated understory plants getting some momentum. I'm excited for spring this year, everybody.
I might be next. This is Leah Grossman. I'm a landscape architect and resident of Somerville, and I'm very passionate about native plants and planting them in our city, diversifying our canopy, and getting residents excited about all things plants in the city.
Thank you, Leah. Jennifer is not here today, right? I don't think she's attending.
No.
Okay. Hey, Murph.
Hello, I'm Murphy Langevin. I'm a student, Arbor student at Essex Tech, and I'm trying to work on youth involvement before I have to leave the Forestry Committee.
I guess I'm Malik. No, you're Malik isn't an ex officio, right? I think no. I might be next. I'm Tori Antonino. I'm a co-chair along with Chris Dwan. I am an ecological landscaper. I like to take lawns out of people's yards and put in meadows. I'm a proponent of using native plants to boost our insect population and practicing ecological landscaping practices, which means leaving the leaves and not cutting back your plants in the fall, and just copying Mother Nature to do the best for the environment. Fun fact, I used to be what's called a mow and blow landscaper, so I've had a 180-degree shift in my career. So and Vanessa.
Thanks. I'm Vanessa Bukili. I am the city's senior urban forestry and landscape planner. Work on all things tree related, but planting is one of my main focuses, and happy to be here.
Okay, and just to let everybody know, we as an urban forestry committee, we like to have anyone in the audience basically in the room, and if you so we are all considered panelists, and if you have something you want to put in the chat, you can. We have public comment at the beginning, so we would like to hear from you. And all right, we introduced our board members. I just want to go to housekeeping, and then we'll go to resident concerns. And at that time, if those in the audience would just like to just introduce yourselves and tell us why you're here, if you want, no pressure though. Yes, got some news for us, Vanessa?
I do.
Yes.
Yes. So we have, as many of you know, 3 vacancies on the Urban Forestry Committee right now. We've been moving through the process, and as of last night, 2 of the vacancies are very close to being fully approved. We had the Committee of Appointments and Personnel Matters City Council meeting last night, and the 2 members we have up were, I think it's called confirmed at that point. We do have to have the full City Council confirm the confirmation or something, but we're getting close. And our 3rd position, we're going to be doing interview next week, and then we should be able to move forward on that one too. So we're going to be a full committee again soon. I have a second point, if that's okay. Today joining us, we also have our 2 newest members of Public Space and Urban Forestry. So I did want to introduce them really quickly. They just wanted to come and see what the meeting was like. So we have Allison Moorer, who's our ecological restoration specialist, and John Brokencont. Sorry, I have not actually heard your last name pronounced. That's embarrassing. But John is here, who is a public space planner and will be working on various park projects and miscellaneous public space planning things. So feel free to introduce yourselves as well, Allison and John, or say hello. No pressure.
Yeah, of course. Hey, everyone, I'm John Browningcant. Just joined the PSUF team, Public Space and Urban Forestry team this week, and super excited to be a part of this team and see what you all have to offer.
We are over the moon to have you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone,
Allison.
I'm Allison. I'm the new ecological restoration planner here. I've got a ecological landscape design and planning degree from the Conway School in Western Mass, and then a landscape architecture master's from Harvard. I am really excited to be taking all of that into the municipal realm and looking at sort of bigger picture city impact, and really thrilled to be part of this team. It seems to be a great team, and excited to be, I'm going to be the staff point person for the pollinator action plan moving forward. And then I'm also helping out with the Miyawaki forest efforts. So our paths may cross again at some point, but mostly I'm just here to listen and learn. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, and thanks to the city and the administration for making this position, having you. Chris, do I see your hand, or is that just your cat?
I just wanted to second that. I've been only watching city stuff closely for a few years, and I remember when it was very much a 1 and 2 person show, and everything was just critically bottlenecked through staff. And it is absolutely thrilling to see us gain the capacity to actually do all these great ideas that folks have been talking about since before I was around. So welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm smiling so much that my cheeks are hurting. Just very pleased to have both of you here. And again, just to expand the bandwidth of PSUF, because for a long time, I mean, when Vanessa came on, I don't know if Malik was soon to follow, but Vanessa and Louisa, of course, been here a long time, but Vanessa's been at the helm for a while in terms of tree specific. So we are grateful. Any more housekeeping items? I don't think so. Anyone from the committee? Okay, what I'd like to do now is resident concerns, and if you'd like to just introduce yourself, please do so. And you can raise your hand or just jump in.
Maybe I'll just jump in if that's okay, because
Please.
Thank you. I'm not super familiar with GoToWebinar, so I don't know where the hand raising feature is yet, but. So my name is Rob Van Dennebiel. I'm actually a Cambridge resident, just right next door. but I'm passionate about trees. I've been doing the urban forestry volunteering program here in Cambridge in my neighborhood for a couple of years now. My reason for joining the meeting is twofold. One, I don't have a forestry background or an agricultural background, but I'm very passionate about the environment, trees in particular at this point, and would love to just learn more. My second reason, which is maybe more exciting, is that I was recently named the sustainability director at a brand new brewery that's opening in the Boynton Yards neighborhood called Portico Brewing. We have a number of sustainability and environmentally driven initiatives, one of which is tree care in our neighborhood. We did a quick canvass about 2 or 3 weeks ago, noticed that there were some 40 plus young, somewhat newly planted trees within 1 square mile of where our brewery is. We're super excited to do our best to help those trees along with watering, weeding, mulching, protecting, whatever else we can do to advocate for them. So again, I just would love to be here to support that. One last thought is that the 2 co-founders of the brewery actually are both Somerville residents. As you can imagine, they're busy opening a new brewery, so I don't know how much time they have, but if there is still a position available, I could mention this to them to see if they would have any interest. So can maybe talk about that later, but thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And if you guys ever like, I don't know, have barrels that you need to dispose of, we there's a group of us contingency who like cut barrels in half and make self-watering planters, or if you would like to demonstrate that on your property, I would be interested.
Yeah, that's
helping.
That's great. We have an awesome outdoor patio space, so I'll mention that.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Ann.
I unmuted myself. I can't find the hand thing.
I might have made that up, and I'm sorry if I did.
Okay. I once saw it, but at Cobble Hill, we have started as part of our community development, tenants group, community development, talking about gardening as a possibility and what it would take for it to work. So that is beginning to happen. And I am interested in what permissions we would need to have as tenants to possibly set up some raised beds for gardening for tenants. This is also dependent on how well we translate to other languages, because the outreach is fraught for us. And it's very important that we reach many tenants who don't speak English and we're quite sure would be very interested in having a garden. So I just wanted to bring that up as where do we go and to whom do we speak? And I was also, I remember a meeting I attended, there was discussion of transfer of DPW personnel to your world. And I wondered if that actually happened. Because there was a question of losing seniority by transferring departments. And I wondered how that worked out, because it also sounded very desirable for tree people to have the help they need directly. So I wondered where that went, and also if you have any questions about what we're doing at Cobble Hill, I'll be happy to answer them. We were thinking of short-term gardens until construction starts. And then of course, we're still working on the hope that the berm and the trees will be saved. And the changes that take place since it's owned by the city now. And that's a very interesting topic, the transition for the tenants. It's very interesting. I think many don't realize what it means. So we're talking, gardening is a way of talking about that. I'll stop there.
And when you say what type of permission do you need, would these gardens be going on the city-owned property, or would it be going on the Cobble Hill residents' property?
Two separate negotiations. One is with Cobble Hill, one is with the city. So some of it would be going on city because there's better sun and some of the areas that the city now owns.
Vanessa, I mean, what my understanding is that you would go through PSUF to get permission, but Vanessa, I wonder your thoughts. I'm actually handing this question to you, but I can miss it.
So permission to put a garden on part of city property is what I'm hearing the question is.
Yep.
This is a bit of a not the usual thing that we've talked about before, because it's more like established spaces that PSUF would be in charge of along with DPW, and this is a property that was acquired with the intention of developing it into something else. So PSUF really doesn't have a role on this property yet. You know, we will at some point when it's further along and helping with the design as it gets developed, hopefully. But right now it's under the capital projects department. So I think it would have to be a question to them. I'm not sure. I don't really know what the process would be, to be honest. I think that's kind of a new question.
Yeah, I would love to put this on a future agenda, because now that I think about it, there are several spaces where we've been staff bottlenecked, right? And so they've sat empty, like the city eminent domains them, and then they've been there for literal years, where even if we had almost a pop-up, you know, single season container garden.
Exactly.
Drop in various...
Yes. Yeah. We were thinking we have this summer coming, and would it be possible to do something as quickly as that was what we were. So exactly that. Yeah. So
well,
are you thinking,
sorry.
Are you thinking that we should go to capital projects and say, could we have a garden for the summer?
That's what I think the logical next step is, since they're the ones sort of in control of the property right now. That's
okay.
What I would suggest.
All right.
If you get stuck, reach out and I'll see if I can think of someone else to ask.
All right. Great. Thank you.
And Chris, to your point, it also might be a future agenda item to have this on, as well as I'm guessing you're maybe thinking 217 Somerville. I don't know if that's the eminent domain property you're thinking about.
I mean, that's the one that's in my neighborhood that I go by on the way to Target.
Yeah.
But there are, I feel, so it's a special, it's important to distinguish whether it's a city-owned property and what it was taken for and where it's going. We'd have to ask permission of that. But even, I know there are a couple of semi-guerrilla gardening activities in the city where people at various scales are putting either food gardens in place or pollinator gardens in place with, you know, and just supporting that kind of activity really strikes me as aligned with what many of us want to do.
Yeah, yep.
So Anne, will you CC me perhaps, or Vanessa, if you're feeling, if it doesn't interrupt your flow of things you're trying to keep track of?
I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to, sure.
Okay. And I am very curious as to your second question, because whatever happened with, did Breck get his tree crew?
I'm,
That solve itself?
I'm sad to say that that's an ongoing discussion. What Anne is referring to is transferring our tree crew, which has been inactive for a couple of years now, from the highway department to the grounds department, which has been more controversial than you might expect. So it's an ongoing union negotiation, and that's about as much as I know or can say, aside from the fact that they've been telling me that it could happen soon for about a year and a couple months now. So someday I think it will happen, but the time frame is pretty nebulous at this point, unfortunately.
Do you need any support of any kind?
I think that the support is there. I mean, the Urban Forestry Committee did pen a letter to the City Council, which I think was very helpful in support of that transfer. So I think everybody kind of knows that it makes sense and should happen. It's just there are sort of logistical concerns, between the two departments. So, like I said, it's an ongoing negotiation, but I do think it will happen eventually.
Thank you. No.
I don't know how much it's hamstringing you, but does the tree crew still work out of lights and lines? Are they allowed to be direct?
We have no in-house tree crew at this point. So, the highway department will occasionally help out with fallen limbs and things like that. But I am doing pretty much everything with contractors at this point, which is, not necessarily a bad thing. It's really just kind of the minor, pruning suckers off trees that I'd rather not send a contractor to do that I would love to have a tree crew for. But, we're chipping away with the contractors. So, we're getting things done one way or another.
Yeah, just to say out loud, that was the fact that absolutely made me confident in signing that letter to the City Council, was that the positions are currently open. Right, there are no incumbents in here whose seniority or job status is going to be directly affected. What we have is open positions that are, from my perspective, getting kind of a slow roll for hiring because we're not totally confident which department they're in. So I'm totally in favor of seeing that resolved. So we could, as you say, when you've got full-time staff, you deploy them for in a different way than you do when it costs you money every time you have to hire a crew. So anything we can do to help, absolutely happy to.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
At this moment, it just seems the will of the union, or the willfulness of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a bargaining chip in a larger conversation. It's not the only thing being discussed, but it is being discussed as far as I can tell. So eventually.
Thank you, Anne, for asking. Thank you, Brooke. All right, other residents? Anyone want to introduce themselves or say why they're here or bring up a concern?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Leanne Jerigo. I am a coordinator at the Glen Park Community Garden. We just recently had a tree crew down at Glen Park, and we were very disappointed that none of the trees were trimmed to address some of the concerns we had regarding opening up some, I guess, light over some of the plots for some gardens. We have a lot of very mature trees facing south, overhanging some plots, and that could have very easily have been addressed with a full crew that were down there for about 3 days. And we had multiple requests that really weren't acknowledged. We were sent a schematic of trees that would be looked at and trimmed, but they were only trimmed for sidewalk and safety, which we totally support and get, but they were not really considered at all for any gardening. So we were very disappointed after multiple years of requesting work and being told that the city did not have any resources to be directed our way. We were just really incredibly frustrated that this did not happen. We do know that the city is coming back according to their plan. We think they might have another day coming back in April. And we're really hoping that the city might reconsider once the trees are starting to open up and maybe leaf out, that they would take a second look at the gardens to relook at where these plots are and the sun positions on these plots, to consider taking down some limbs and hopefully avoid the temptation of anybody doing it themselves. These trees are mature, they're beautiful, we want them, we support them, but we really would like to see them not be compromised in any way, but we do think that there may be some sort of compromise where you can certainly keep the shape and beauty and safety of the tree while also allowing for more sunlight on these plots. We're a 20-year-old plot. We're probably one of the biggest ones in the city. We just got approved to expand our plots down at Glen Garden, but it's very frustrating to know that the city can't really support us by getting a full arborist crew down there and not really help with these requests. So I'd really like it if someone could take another consideration back in April when they come back. Thank you.
Just Vanessa or Breck, do you have anything to respond to that?
Yeah, I'd like to respond. So the work that was done that Leanne's talking about, hi Leanne, was part of the Parks Tree Health Program. So one of the parks in the programs was Glen Capuano, and then that included the trees around Glen Community Garden. I believe Malik has mentioned to you, Leanne, the purpose of this project is really to promote the health of the trees, not to open up the light for the garden. And I understand that there's this conflict here and that, the trees are growing and that's creating a lot of shade on your garden. But the crew was out there with the intention of increasing the health of the trees specifically. So pruning work was done on these trees and other trees, all the other trees in the park and schoolyard in order to promote health. So removing dead limbs, raising the tree above sidewalks and streets, clearing out, broken, damaged limbs and stuff like that. But opening up the canopy more to allow light was not the intention of this program. So I definitely get where you're coming from, that it's frustrating that there were people there doing work and they weren't addressing the concerns that you had, but that wasn't why we were there. We were there on our own accord to promote the health of the trees. And there will be one more day in April when a crew comes back, but they're going to be doing soil work. It's air spading work and I believe some biostimulant application around some of the trees. So they won't have the equipment needed to do any other pruning work on these trees. I don't know what the solution is really for the long term, but we're not going to shear off half of a tree to open up light.
Nobody is asking for half of a tree.
Okay, great.
So please don't make it sound that way.
Okay. I haven't seen it, when the leaves are on or anything. So just wanted to make sure that it was clear that we're, if it's a limb here or there, we can consider it potentially, but but doing anything that would damage the health of the tree is not something that we're
No, we totally get that. So I think that's what we're asking for is consideration, which is what we've been asking for all along. And we go back years of asking for consideration and always been told that you don't have resources for us. And I'm not alone. I'm not the only community garden that this has been affected to. And you, I'm sure, you'll be hearing from other gardens as well. So it's, you know, there's a great need for community garden. You know, nobody wants any harm done to any of these trees. That is not the point. And for you to say that you would take half of a tree is really exaggerating and offensive. So, you know, I wish you hadn't said that. We understand that there's safety first. It's around an elementary school, early education center. I often feel a lot of people are not familiar with these public gardens at all. So we really would invite people to come down and take a good look at them. You know, there were 2 mature trees taken down, and you know, we had multiple conversations about the work that was being done, and we were led on to believe that it was a possibility that trees could have been trimmed, only to find when we went down there that 2 mature tree or relatively mature trees had been taken down to the ground because they were declining, and there was absolutely no communication at all telling us that they were being taken down. They were just gone. But yet you couldn't trim a few branches. That's, you know, a lack of communication and a lack of any kind of, you know, respect to the people who are doing the work at the gardens. And it's just not right. And nobody is trying to harm any of these trees. We, as a matter of fact, we try to help take care of them.
Thank you for that. And
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to imply that you wanted to, you know, harm the trees. Just wasn't sure exactly, you know, how much needed to be pruned to open up the light. So I hear what you're saying. That safety was another big concern here. So those trees that were removed because they were a public safety issue. They were in decline, and I believe they were ash trees. I have to go check the work plan. I think we definitely had some communication issues with this program this year. I think we're going to talk about another communication issue a little bit later in the agenda. So I hear you. I thought that you had gotten information from Malik, but it sounds like we're going to need to work on our communication for this program.
Yeah, and I think he is a person who could have spent the time communicating. He led us to believe that once he sent the schematic of the trees, that those trees would be worked on because he knew those were the trees we had asked him to work on, specifically from a garden point of view. So he didn't say, no, they were not being worked on. We are not doing this. He just said, here are the trees. And when we said, oh, this is awesome, thank you for coming down to see us, he just said, he just took the thanks and never said anything. Yeah.
Is there a way that Leanne can get a follow-up? Can Malik go down there? Can there be an in-person meeting, or, you know, as you said, this will come up again in the agenda, and we want communication and for Leanne's concerns to be, you know,
and there's going to be other gardens, I'm sure.
Right. I mean, as Vanessa said, it's not our practice, of course, to take down trees, but thinning out a canopy might help a tree help. But I don't know. I don't know the tree.
Right.
Sure, I do. I know those trees were worked on, so I think, you know, Malik wasn't trying to lead you astray. They actually did have branches cut. So, you know, maybe you heard something or he didn't say it clearly enough. I'd be
Yeah,
happy to meet you down there,
they-
Leanne, and you can show
yeah.
me exactly which branches you think would need to be removed, and I can tell you if that's a possibility or not. But it wouldn't be in April with this crew. We'd have to wait. Sorry, I'm getting a tickle. Have to wait
Okay,
till we had another availability. But.
Okay, that's fair. I know that they were coming at that time, and I thought because they were leafing out, that might be a good time. Okay, that would be great. I have your email at the bottom of the agenda. I will send you my information, and we can go from there. But thank you for that time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Leanne, for coming.
Good night.
Anyone else in the audience?
I have a brief resident enthusiasm if there's no other residents. I just wanted to say I was walking down Summer Street and was very excited to see spray painted areas for tree trenches, and was curious if there's any update on what type of tree trenches those are going to be. I saw them and stopped in my tracks and took a photo, even though it was, I think it was snowing at the time. But I was really excited to see that. Seems like progress is happening.
Do you mean tree wells?
Yeah, they were just labeled in spray paint as tree trench. I'm assuming it's some sort of tree well or shared soil volume for new trees that will be added. But yeah, I was curious to see or hear sort of what the trajectory is, or if there's a place online that we can look at the plans.
Based on your description, I'd have to know the exact address, but it sounds like that's probably part of the Spring Hill sewer separation project.
Yeah, yeah, it's right at Summer and Central.
I think that covers there.
Yeah,
I think the plans are
I think it's
online,
definitely
but
part of that.
I'd have to check.
Okay. I'll look it up and I'll send them around if I find them. But just a enthusiasm that I wanted to share. So thank you.
I don't know if you're thinking what I was thinking, which was, would that be a space for our smaller diameter tree trial pits?
Oh, I didn't, just because of the sort of speed and density of that street. I don't know if it'd be the best fit, but definitely we should keep our eyes peeled and see if there would be a spot within the Spring Hill sewer separation project where we could do one. That's a great idea. It might be too late because I think the plans are already solidified, and I'm sure the trees have already been budgeted and accounted for.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, the plans were finalized like a year or more ago, so
yeah,
probably a little late. And remember, we do need really wide sidewalks for those pilot pits. So
yeah,
probably there's other.
Thank you, Leah. I have a message to convey from a neighbor. This is Chestnut Street. No, rewind. Not Chestnut. Trees were damaged on Chestnut Street, and there was a contractor, Andy Dulac from North River, responding to a neighbor. Consigli will accept responsibility for replacing any badly damaged trees. I believe we have, obviously if they replace the trees, these trees are fairly large, like 40 feet tall, probably 1 foot DBH. And I don't know if you've heard from Brick Bottom or anything about these trees that were damaged on Chestnut Street. I just sent you an email with pictures, but I believe the process for when a contractor damages trees is more than just replacing them. I believe there's some penalization.
I've never heard of these trees being damaged, so I'm not sure if they're privately owned trees, that's one thing versus public trees.
It looks like they're on a sidewalk. So I just sent you the picture like moments ago, so you don't need to respond. And Vanessa, if you could forward that to the rest of us, just so we can have eyes on it. We don't need to discuss it now, but they look like they're, you know, on one of those verges between the sidewalk and the street. And just another quick concern I have is, so the work I do with the Union Square Neighborhood Council, oftentimes I'm meeting with developers, and I met with Verdant Landscapes today, and I'm meeting with them again tomorrow on a Medford Street development, and in order to diversify their plantings and, you know, asking for continuous bloom and getting more than just a sedum roof and to have more native street trees. And I'm just hoping that, and this had gone through PSUF, and went through the Urban Design Commission. And I just hope that with Allison and some, John, no, I forget our other new PSUF person, that, that these things will kind of be picked up on. You know, that instead of using feather grass, we'll be able to maybe use an Indian grass, or instead of using like dianthus, that they'll choose phlox. So, and this is something you know, obviously I'm not getting paid for this work, but I hope our ecological restorative planner will be able to weigh in when these developers come and say, oh, we're doing a green roof. We're gonna, you know, we have this much plantings we're gonna do, and so I can say, please don't put in a pencil tree, you know, put in an arborvitae, or put in a trellis and put some Dutchman's pipe or Clematis virginiana or coral honeysuckle, and it just gets tiring as an advocate. And I just hope that there'll be a closer look to a lot of these developments when they're, you know, okay, we'll put in orange coneflower and echinacea, and those are the 2 flowering plants we're going to put in. And of course, like Ilex glabra and fragrant sumac, and it's like, okay, we got enough of those. Like, just hoping for a little more support from PSUF and to have more biodiverse landscapes when it comes to people coming before the planning board for their special permit and coming before the Urban Design Commission. Because we have landscapers on that, but they're not exactly tuned into biodiverse native landscape plantings. This is not shade, this is just actual. They're great landscape designers, just not tuned into this type of ecosystem support. So that's my ask. And until then, I'll just continue to meet one-on-one. So thank you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
Just if it's private property that you're talking about, we do PSUF reviews, the green score, and other parts of the development, but we can't tell developers what plants to plant. That's just not something that we're allowed. That's beyond what we can do. If there's a planting list that we can point them to as you're thinking about stuff, think about these. I've definitely sent our tree list that UFC created to developers for them to think on, and they get different points for, native bonuses and whatnot. But we don't have an equivalent plant list yet for understory things. So if we want to encourage it, I think having a list for people to lean on would be something we could point people towards, but telling people, no, you can't plant this, that, or the other, and you have to plant these things, that's going beyond what PSUF's role can be in a private development process.
I mean, these developers, these landscape planners are very open to thoughts. I mean, hopefully with the pollinator action plan, somewhere in the purview, you can say, we need plants that bloom from April through November. And here are those plants. And sorry, for all the planning you do, you can't recommend plants that doesn't sound. I see your hand.
We can recommend plants, Tori. It seems like we have to get our spreadsheet out and ready to go. I think that's on us. And we've been saying we would do it for a while, and I take personal responsibility for it being delayed. But I think getting
Okay.
it out this year is
That's fair.
a priority.
Yeah, what I heard Vanessa say, and Vanessa, correct me if I'm wrong, is that UFC created a preferred tree list, and we do share that. We've seen some motion in a good direction. We have not created and published a similar list for plantings, and so it remains this conversational one-off every time, which is exhausting, right? I personally could use that list because people come and talk to me like I know something about ecosystems, and everything I know I've learned from you folks. So I think it would be well worth our time to generate that list. And then, yeah, we obviously can't like micromanage somebody's somebody's process, but we can give specific recommendations. I think we should.
Okay. Because it is exhausting, yet I'm committed, especially under the Union Square Neighborhood Council and our purview. Okay, goodness, let's move on to updates from the city unless anyone else has something to say. In our pollinator, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm listening and I hear all of this, and it's great to hear. As I'm still sort of like getting to know what everybody's already been working on and what still is on the to-do list, I'm certainly curious to learn at some point, and I can talk about this with Vanessa offline about what the plant list goals have been for this committee. I also know that the Pollinator Action Committee, that will be one of their tasks too, is through hiring a consultant and sort of going through this planning process, that developing plant lists is something that we're both talking about internally having as a resource in addition to sort of producing through that Pollinator Action Plan process. So, just wanting to make sure that we're aligning all of these efforts together. So, conversations are definitely happening, and there's definitely an interest and a commitment on our end to having that kind of resource available to suggest for people too. And so I'll be very excited to learn what the specific goals of this committee have been. And I can talk to Vanessa about that another time, but I'm listening, just so you know.
Thank you so much. Can Allison come to one of our SAP meetings? We could maybe do it during work hours.
If you're open to it,
if we can do it,
it'd be great too.
Yeah, we could definitely use help. Okay, I'm sorry to delay things. Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Allison. Updates from the city tree removals.
Not too much in the way of updates right now. I am hoping I'm working on scheduling our next round of removals on the new contract. At this point, I think I just have about 10 on Powder House that I sort of am imminently scheduling. We have quite a few to get through on this new contract. The ones on Powder House I will send out to the group tomorrow if I remember to do that. Or otherwise soon, and I'll keep you posted as the list develops.
I'll tack on that there have been a limited handful of removals with the Parks Tree Health Program. I'm going to share the full list of work plans to you all shortly, and you can look at each individual one, but we're going to be talking about one in a little bit. And there was the couple at Glen. I know there was some more. There was a couple of dead hemlocks at Kenny Park. I'm blanking on any other ones, but there might be a few other ones.
And for me, the reason that we didn't go through our whole public process on those would be because they were dead or they were hazardous.
Yeah.
Cool, because we've got this whole public process that, we put up notices and everything, and it really helps. But if the tree is an imminent threat, it obviously has to go. Nobody wants to leave danger. And if it's dead, I think under the law, it's not even a tree anymore, so we don't have the process around it. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, anything on private tree removals?
Malik, are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Alrighty. So there's been a tree removal over at the Matignon High School. I know that is borderline Cambridge, but the area over by the field, which drips into Teal Square, we had a hazardous tree removed. Then there's also been tree removals at 127 Albion, 127 Albion, 126 Curtis, and 30 Dartmouth. I'm not sure if I've told you about Dartmouth since the last meeting, but I believe I have. So that should be it for exemptions for this round. And then in terms of tree removal permit applications, I have a couple that I'm currently looking at. There's 97 Wallace. They would like to remove 3 large trees. I need to ascertain their condition. Pardon for the background noise. And then one development, I believe, wants to remove a female ginkgo. And then 55 Church Street would have been an exemption, but they've already filed for a permit application, so I just issued the permit and went ahead that way. But that's pretty much it.
So no recent funds in the coffers?
No recent funds to the coffers, even though I'm expecting a small amount, maybe from someone who I haven't gotten a complete permit application for.
Thank you.
I saw that, one question, I saw that the trees at Summer at School Street at the old gas station site, I saw that it was in the 2022 permit applications, and I saw that all the trees were just removed. I think I missed the meeting where that was approved, so I was just curious if we did get money from that one or they were all invasive and so not.
You mean over by the Sunoco, right? On Broadway?
No, on Summer at School Street. It was like the old parking lot that was then Elfland and then is now a staging ground.
Let's see, 1 second.
I believe it's 71 Summer. Let me double check.
'73.
73.
73 what?
Summer Street. Yeah, 73 Summer right there.
1 second.
14 trees, 12 were invasive, 1 was a hazard, and 1 was planned. So they're replanting 7 replacements.
Oh, there we go. The sheet works.
Yeah. I love this sheet.
Okay, sweet. So we were informed. It's all good. But yeah, I did see that those trees were removed. And I was curious, I'm not sure how far those plans have been developed, but if we could ask to meet with the design team on that one to see what their proposed trees are, similar, or send out our developer letter. Seems like it might be at the right stage in design. Essentially.
I
remember.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at. It's a mid-rise, and they're actually providing a civic space. No, maybe just an open space, but it is a significant open space, which is not required with mid-rise. I don't know where they're at in the approval plan, but someone can look that up if they go to plans and decisions. And if anyone wants to do that right now, I empower you. And I think that would be a good idea. Because it's nice when you have a developer is doing MR who actually wants to put in civic space or open space. I forget which.
I think it's just a little plaza with a bike fix-it station and a bench. It looks nice, cute.
Okay, spring tree planting. Tell us good news, Vanessa.
So our bid closed last week and we had 4 bidders, which is great. All the bids came back higher than expected, but oh well. We haven't issued a notice of award yet because procurement's busy, but can I tell you who it is? I think so. They should all be public. So the lowest bidder was Leahy Landscaping. So that's all I have so far. But we're working on marking out 175 sites for spring planting. We'll have to do some calculations and make sure I have enough money for the spring, but I think I will. Questions?
I'd like to know your wish list.
Leahy has a more specific list of what they find, not necessarily a wish list, but what I looked at, there's definitely a lot of oaks on there, not very many. The only native small statured tree on their bid list was a redbud, so I'm going to see if they can find some amelanchiers too. Redbud's hard to place. I can do a few, but not a lot. So I'm going to definitely, as previous seasons, have to make up mostly natives in the large stature species. Definitely a variety of oak species. I think there was a Kentucky coffee tree in there. I think they had sweet gum listed. So
Allison.
That's exciting.
Allison, we are on a hunt for a unicorn, and that is a native street tree that I think it has to be an utility wire tree.
Utility friendly.
Yeah, utility friendly. So like maximum 30 feet, I think. And right now the Syringa seems to be the winner. It's a non-native, and so we're trying to find a native that can fill that niche, which might be kind of a really narrow tree pit that might be right next to a building. And I was hoping that a dogwood might be able to come through for us, or
I think redbud was at the top of the list, and I looked through when we did the tree inventory. I think there was just the one on Summer Street.
And Vanessa has referred to them as dead buds before, and I'm just wondering if we just planted them a bit smaller, if that might help the cause. So
Summer Street one seems to be doing well. I don't know. I'm holding out hope for it.
there are other. I don't know where that one came from. That was weird. But I also have planted a few, and I don't necessarily call them dead bud myself. I've just heard other people say that, so I'm cautious to plant a lot of them. I just want to make sure they're going to be live buds before we plant like 50 of them. But they're very sensitive, like they like natural sort of settings. So
yeah, I did look up. It's like there's like 9,000 in New York City. They have all their trees mapped, and it's one of the highest like percentage of, I think it was like maybe 5% of the like small trees that are planted in New York City. And so that seems promising to me, because that's definitely quite urban for the most part. And it was all around the city.
Breck can tell you more about New York plantings.
They definitely do well in New York, but New York is just a little bit warmer than Boston. So you know, that like,
so we'll be there in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. But that marginal difference, I think, for something like a redbud or crepe myrtle, like it does make a difference. But I think they're worth planting here. Like I think it's, you know, like you said, it's only going to become more appropriate, I think, for Boston. So
So can we take a plunge? Can we up the numbers just to, because we have nothing to lose, literally,
Sure.
I think I'll correct myself. There's 15 currently in Somerville, according to Tree Keeper.
Thank you,
But I
Vanessa.
think the one on Somerville was the only street tree. The rest were in parks. That was my clarifier. Apologies, that was incorrect to say.
Yeah, maybe we can double that number this season.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, that's a
there
good goal. If we double it every year, then we'll be there in no time.
I mean, if there are no Amelanchier on Leahy's list, then that needs to be changed. Yeah, could you share that list? Can we do that? And
it's part of the bid, so I don't know that that's going to be the final be all end all, but I can share that.
Yeah. With you. So Allison, that's our unicorn.
Good to know. I'll keep it in mind.
Okay. No pressure. Okay, and anything else on this? Okay, we're gonna move on to the tree removal work at Morse Kelly Butterfly Garden. This is part of the our tree health plan, and I think this is great. Kind of similar to Leanne's. So on Summer Street, Green and Open Somerville paired with the city 2016, 2017 to build the pollinator garden on the length of summer between Craigie and spring. That's it. And it's, I think was 100% success. And David Falk found out that there was going to be tree work done via Ken Crounce, who is the garden coordinator there. And so if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for Ken being made aware, we would not have known. And it was kind of a surprise because, David especially has been working that area intensely, and, we care for the plants. We've planted a bunch of trees. And so myself and David were dismayed that there was not the communication there, especially since work has been done. But his main concern was around the importance of leaving stumps and dead wood. So Vanessa forwarded his email that he wrote to the Urban Forestry Committee. Have you guys had a chance to read it?
I'm screen sharing now. Let me just a sec.
And what happened in terms of the removal and grinding of this stump things could have been changed had there been communication, because basically in his letter, it's citing the importance of deadwood and snags and stumps, and how they play a role in ecosystem health in, okay, thank you. I just closed my screen. I want to read out loud one part of it. I think that is important. So I'll try to be quick. One of the key missing ingredients for a healthy urban landscape is the presence of dead wood or coarse woody debris. There may not, okay. Sorry, my screen isn't widening. Is there a way you can make that?
Larger, smaller?
Smaller, narrower, or, okay, bigger.
Here, I can go ahead and just share that paragraph.
Okay, yep. I can read it. This is good. There may not be a more important feature missing from our landscape. Our infatuation with overly tidy gardens and obsession with all removal of all dead wood, particularly standing trees, robs our ecosystem of an absolutely essential habitat component. Many native insects rely on these dead trees for reproduction and survival, as do our birds and other wildlife. Besides the loss to wildlife, the loss of carbon and nutrients to the soil and plants stored in that tree is highly impactful. It is easy to see why our planting and landscapes struggle as much as they do when you see how we treat them, constantly stealing from the system and never giving back. I imagine this is not news to the folks on this committee. And he was devastated about this. He called me, and he works at Garden in the Woods, and has been my guru on planting native plants and how to restore our health and the health of our ecosystems, and how we can do it actually in the city. And so had he and I been made aware, we would have, showed up, maybe laid down some plywood. We would have not only asked the company to leave the stump, we would have said, can you leave us a bunch of logs that we can put around that, can start to decompose? Can we have a few more to put down there? So we would have saved them time. And I understand they were as careful as possible, but I went there and it's like, what happened to all the, like, some of the plants were covered and they're going to come back and it's going to be okay. But it looked like some of the others were just kind of whacked down. Like there was a whole area that had lots of stubble of echinacea and pycnanthium and a whole bunch of stems from perennials. So it's just hard when someone invests so much time into, helping sort of shift our landscaping practices and planting 99% native plants in a certain area. And him or myself or anyone from Green and Open Somerville who did the work were informed. So what I'm asking for is go into the future that there be communication when, especially anything from Morse Kelly comes up, whether it's DPW's going in to do something. We do have the Leave the Leave sign, which I'm so grateful for. Things are going to come back, and I appreciate the pictures you sent, Vanessa. It's just going forward, prior communication and the opportunity for us to kind of like change practices and save the stumps and save material that could have been put to other projects. So that's and I encourage everyone to read the rest of David's letter. He put a lot of time into it, and he wanted to take this opportunity to educate all of us. So, and please stop by. It's going to be a beautiful garden this year.
Can I respond a little bit?
Oh, please, Vanessa. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You're right. We did not communicate the way we should have, and I understand you put a lot of time and effort, you and David and lots of others, putting in all these plants, and we were focused on the tree hazard, and needed to also consider what else was going on at the site. So I really apologize for that. I do hope, the stump grindings that were left, hopefully will at least leave a little bit of, some nice nutrients back into the soil. At least some of the stump is getting back into the area. We do typically grind the stump so that we can plant a new tree. So if you're open to it, we can discuss what kind of tree you'd like us to plant there, or if you'd rather just leave that spot open for meadow, we can look at that. I thought maybe it would be a good spot for one of the pilot trees, potentially, and we can add other plants back there. We also, understand the use of logs and dead wood. I wouldn't have thought of leaving the logs, but that's a good idea to think of going forward. We did think of that before. Remember when you were planning out the site, we left logs, and that's what turned into those beautiful art stumps and whatnot. So there are some logs and stumps that we have left at the site before, but didn't really think about that in this case, and may have been able to do something different, at least leaving a short stump for you and some logs if we'd talked to you before. So I'm sorry about that. And hopefully we can talk going forward about what kind of tree to plant, and whether we do it through my contract or through a volunteer pilot planting effort.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. That means a lot to me, and I'll pass it on to David too, and that'll
Please
give him relief. Yeah, and you know myself and David, the smaller plants, the better. Maybe a small grove, and so we definitely wouldn't want to do it through the contractor because they require most likely use whatever 1.5 to 2 inch DBH, and we're all about the littles. So thank you so much, Chris Vaughn.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity for a little bit of systems thinking, because we've had this conversation a few times, and my example was when the 2 big trees that are out the window to my left here were removed. In each case, I've got a neighbor who offered to make me something out of them. You know, they're a local woodworker and said, like, you do a bunch of tree work in the city, can I say a thank you, you know, get the crew to leave a log. And I was unable to make that connection in time to save it. And I feel like this will be helped when BREC has employees who are the people who are doing this work, and it's not a sort of contractor game of telephone, game of scope of work, and we can start to really bring a lot of this sort of care in-house. So that is one reason that I'm so excited to get the tree crew back in-house, is because then there will be 3 specific human beings who we can get to know. And like, yeah, it's not that hard really to save a couple of logs, and you know, there's all kinds of cautions. Obviously, we wouldn't want to transmit disease around the city, but like, we keep talking about it, and I'm excited to, I think getting these folks hired will actually make progress possible.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and it's something that Vanessa and Malik and I have talked about. Like you said, it is, you know, when you're working exclusively with contractors, it's not that easy to say, like, well, can you take your giant grapple and place this log in the yard for me? It's, you know, complicated to do that just in the regular workflow of things, but you know, there is a lot of waste associated with this industry, and I would love to do our part to sort of reduce that and reuse what we can. So I'm on the same page with you there.
I think that's very salient. Could we make it a practice that when a log comes down in a tree comes down in a park, that we just leave the stump as a matter of course, and if we plant a tree, we plant it adjacent, and if we need to grind something, we grind it. We just leave the stump and try to plant something nearby. It just, I would love to see that be practiced.
I think we can think about that. It might depend somewhat on exactly where in a park it would be, because it can be a trip hazard and whatnot, almost like a sidewalk, depending how close to a path it might be. So it might not be a blanket practice, but we can think about how to leave more stumps in the landscape.
All right, thank you. And thank you to David for writing that letter. Okay, so Amy had to log off, and I don't want to bring this up. Are we still at quorum? Okay. Okay, thank you. 5, Prospect Hill Wedding Nook installation and plant sourcing. I put this on here because, Vanessa, I didn't realize until last meeting that we were going to do this in-house. So if we have this opportunity to know where we're sourcing plants from, can we do it where we're getting wild genetics, and which means we wouldn't be able to source from like a Cavicchio's or Ricky's. We would need to source from a place like Garden in the Woods, and we do have a vendor contract with them, so it wouldn't involve any more paperwork. It would just be you know, sort of changing that. I feel like that's what I'm saying today. It's changing that practice, because if we continue to plant plants that are clones, we are going to become an evolutionary bottleneck, and you know, genetic diversity is what keeps our plants healthy. So that you know, nursery industry does not, it's not come into sort of the collective consciousness that is a thing. So could we do that?
I can definitely ask. I know Courtney mentioned that Cavicchio has signed the no neonic pledge, so I thought that would be a plus rather than a minus. And she also mentioned Van Berkom. I don't know what this is, but if that means anything to you. So I wanted to know exactly what you were intending here, and I can pass on this information. I don't, we were going to need to get a lot of plants, I think, for the NUC. So it depends on, how many individuals of the species we need are available, but I can definitely point them towards Garden in the Woods. If there's any other specific nurseries you know of that we can reach out to,
well, if we
put those on the list.
If we need plugs, we have a contract with a vendor's contract with Arc Wild. If you want to go the plug route, I believe we sourced some of our plants there last year.
Yeah.
Which can be more cost effective. And I just hope if we did source plants from Garden in the Woods, we wouldn't balk at the price. We're not going to get $4, quart plants necessarily at Garden in the Woods. Like, you might go to a Cavicchio's and it's going to be cheaper, but the quality of the plants, I don't even go there anymore to get plants because the quality is poor, and it's clones. And so I'm very thankful they signed the neonic pledge. But for a project, we can't always specify in our landscaping projects to source from genetically diverse plants or plants grown from seed. But in this case, since it's in-house, I would like to do that.
Okay. We do have
I know Van Berkom does have highlights local New England ecotypes. I haven't used them before, but I've heard good things generally. And they have some good resources on their list as well.
We do have a budget limitation, and we can only, unless we go on contract, we can't spend more than $10,000. But we actually don't have even that much budgeted for this. So we'll have to look at the prices.
What is do you know what the budget is?
I believe 6,000 is what I can't remember if that includes part of the design money as well as the plants, but I think that was the plant number.
I hope that's plants only. I mean, if it's in-house, that doesn't include work, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
PW work.
Yeah. Just I meant the design, like the design.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'll pass on these suggestions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Okay, going on. Urban forestry related jobs, postings and RFP.
All right, as is our practice, I am the co-chair who is not chairing the meeting, so I get to do the task of opening up the jobs page and seeing if there are any jobs that we have strong opinions about. I skimmed through and did not see any. I actually don't even see the tree crew job openings. We've been saying that those were open, but they seem to not be listed. Is that accurate?
They're not actually open because, oh, go ahead.
What Vanessa said, they won't be opened until the negotiation is resolved.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to use different language for that from now on when I complain about it, because I've been saying for 3 years that the jobs are open and we're just not hiring them. But it is the case that they're not even listed or open. And other than that, I see all kinds of fun things, but nothing really that is terribly connected to this committee's work. Does that line up with what the city staff think?
I don't know of any paid positions, but Malik's reminding me that there is a vacancy on the Conservation Commission. So that has been posted. That's on the B Somerville website. There should be for commission vacancies. So if anyone knows anyone who is into wetlands and protecting water bodies, pass on the info, please.
Awesome. And I just want to put in a plug. There are a lot of opportunities for members of the public to get involved in committees and working groups and task forces. They're all on the city's website, and it's a fantastic way to give back a little bit to your city and get involved and meet people as human beings and not just as sort of a bureaucracy. I find it to be a fantastic thing to do. I encourage everybody to find a committee and join it.
Just to clarify, did you say climate and energy use or the Concom for the opening?
Conservation Commission, but I did just go to the B Somerville website, and CUCC does seem to have an opening also, the energy use and climate.
Okay, excellent.
I don't know if I saw it when Chris was sharing screen, but I did see in the latest Somerville newsletter that there is a senior project manager for capital projects in infrastructure and asset management, as well as where was it? Executive Director for Strategic Planning and Community Development, both of which seem somewhat peripherally related in our realm of networks and would be great people to collaborate with more.
The Executive Director is my boss's boss, for context.
Yeah, big shoes to fill.
Great. Yeah, and it would be great to work with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big job.
Under open bids, I did see Somerville Junction Park construction. In case we have any contractors on the list. I don't do jobs like that, but maybe someone in the audience knows something. Big job, obviously, soup to nuts on that one. Okay, I think we can move on. Thank you, Chris. Arbor Day planning.
Yep. So Somerville can make Arbor Day with the mayor's decree any day that we want. And usually the Urban Forestry Committee decides what day we would like it to be and ask the mayor if that's going to work. In the past, we've done them in the late spring to early summer, and we're thinking of shooting for more of a proper springtime Arbor Day this year. The state and perhaps national Arbor Day is the 4th Friday of April, but it's still pretty cold then to be doing planting usually, although this year might be oddly warm. Anywho, we need to start thinking about what we want to do and when we want to do it. Jennifer was proposing perhaps a mid-May timeline, I believe, which seems reasonable. And to make sure that it's a good community event, like a early evening or a weekend event. For me, early evening is better, but we can discuss amongst ourselves. Does anyone have any like great ideas or parks to go in? Some, I guess, food for thought is we've typically done it in parks where we've recently done work that we can highlight. So last year we did it at Nathan Tufts Park where we had the Parks Tree Health Program. So we could think about doing it in another park this year that's Parks Tree Health Program related. Can't think of any other big work that's happened in other parks. We also move it around the city. So we had Prospect Hill one year and then Nathan Tufts. So maybe keep going west or go east. I have no actual like options to present, just sort of wanted to get the ball rolling.
I know last time I mentioned Porch Fest is May 13th. which could either be super fun or super chaotic. But I think we said possibly the weekend before, so that when everyone's out and about in Porch Fest, they would, no, that was for tree tagging. My apologies, wrong brain thoughts here. But Porch Fest is May 13th and Mother's Day is May 14th. So either that weekend is exciting or already has too much stuff going on.
It probably already has too much stuff going on.
Yeah, I would
right.
be with Porch Fest.
Is there
The
anything
following,
like, oh, I was just anything in the Winter Hill area? Sorry, Leah.
Winter Hill area. I mean, Foss Park is a park. It's not our park, but it is a park. I could potentially.
I would like to do a plant giveaway if we can, even if it's just milkweed. If we want to just keep it simple. And Allison, since you're here, the mayor signed, and for everyone, the mayor signed Mayor's Monarch Pledge last year. And each year you have to complete 2 of the action items. And I don't know if we've completed. I don't know how many we've completed, but we could definitely, like, one of the items is have a pollinator party, and one is to give out milkweed, one is to have a parade. Like, so I don't know if that can be incorporated. You know, do one of the action items that are on that pledge, because it's great if she took the pledge, but if we're not doing the action items, then consistently every year, not just cumulatively throughout our, you know, Vanessa being in Somerville, or you know, anything Katiana did before, like the native planting ordinance, that doesn't count for, because that was passed in the previous year. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention.
For plant giveaway, we can also buy some seedlings from the Massachusetts Tree Warden and Foresters Association or Arbor Day Foundation and do tree giveaways. We can choose a nice small tree species. They're usually bare root sticks. So
I think that's just such a good way to go. And you did that a few years ago at Quincy Street. You were giving away red buds and
red buds, yeah,
in Florida. Or whatever the genus is now.
I think so. I definitely did a dogwood year too. There was definitely a dogwood year.
How do we feel about Symphony Park and the new sculpture there?
I was just thinking the same thing.
I want to give love to East Somerville every time I can. And since we were just talking about reuse, like there's a reuse of a tree trunk as art. And my only concern there is it's a little small, but like, honestly, we're never mobbed.
Does anyone know if there's a lot of foot traffic over there? Because I think we get a lot of just sort of walkers by, passers by.
It's honestly a little inconvenient. It's like up a steep hill.
I feel like Amy would know, but she's not here.
Just in that we were talking about Glen Park earlier, I haven't been there, but I'm seeing a lot of sport fields, and so I wonder if a Saturday morning catching a lot of families at team sports could be good, and it's also East Somerville. It doesn't have a lot of like open green space, but I'm wondering if there's a nook we could be in.
The community garden could also participate. That giving them a little love might. I mean, I saw Leanne's distress today, so you know.
Yeah, I like the adjacency.
It's also around the corner.
Yeah, I like the adjacency with the school. That's a good. That's a good thing.
There is also going to be a project there coming up. The 5 Palmer site is going to be turned into community garden, so we can maybe have other piece of people there. I think Allison's doing that project.
Yep,
Okay.
happy to participate if you're aligning it with that. That would make a lot of sense.
And Tori mentioned a parade. We could even do a parade to Symphony Park and knock off a couple items on our checklist here.
And did we settle on a date? Did we say the weekend after Mother's Day? That was the last date that anybody said. That would
That
be
day
like,
would be nice because we have a committee meeting on the 18th, which would give us some time to do last minute planning before the event.
would we do like a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon?
We should look at when, if we decide to do that, the field. I don't know if Somerville Rec has like when kids sports, or if folks with kids in the town sports system know when most popular times at playgrounds are, but I think aligning to density of people in parks would be good, which might be like Saturday morning. I'm not sure how convenient that is, or if that aligns with what other people are thinking.
All right, so we have a little time. It sounds like that's homework that we could ask. I loved having the mayor last time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to push, but I thought that was a really nice gesture that she came out and said a few words. And I know her schedule gets busy, but let's can we just like tentatively say weekend of the 20th, sometime when people are likely to be there, and with no blockers on, like no major schedule blockers.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
So is this, am I hearing that Glenn is sort of the favorite of the moment? Okay. And Malik, was there good spots to plant there? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
I'll look. You might not.
That might be more challenging.
Here. Well, we don't have to plant every year. We can do other fun things.
Yeah. It might be a good opportunity for smaller planting things as well.
Yes. Support that.
Yes. Over by where the 2 ash trees were removed, there's space for 2 more trees. If we just shifted a little bit by the benches, that's a good spot.
Are they going to be future conflicts with the garden? Plant some small guys.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, because as Leanne stated earlier, it had no impact when those trees were removed, so it didn't benefit them, so it shouldn't hurt them either.
Great. Thank you.
Anytime.
One of the action plans for the mayor's monarch pledge is change weed or mowing ordinances to allow for native prairie and plant habitats. Something to.
And what a better place to encourage pollinators than next to community gardens?
Who is that one? Communicate with community garden groups and urge them to plant native milkweeds and nectar producing plants. Did you just make that up, or were you reading it?
Yeah, no, I was just making it up.
Oh, well, it's on there.
I might say great minds think alike.
Yeah, yeah.
While also being aware of digging pollinators near schools.
Well, okay.
But it's a
honeybees are the ones that sting.
Mm-hmm.
The main ones that sting. It's not totally true of all of them, but. Sorry, kids need to be around insects, and I know that there are allergies, but I also know the wonder one has when seeing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know I've heard the biggest issue is when you're in their space, and so I think if we make a designated space for them, it's really making it safer by saying, like, this is a place for pollinators. Don't let your kids run around in this specific area. But just zooming around in Street View, it seems like there might be some opportunity here.
Yeah.
Without, obviously, we haven't talked to anyone who uses the space, and that would be an important step in this process.
Right, but Butterfly Festival was I might have made up the parade.
You know, if we were feeling
Parade
generous,
could be fun.
Yes.
if we were feeling generous, we could tick off number 6 by giving away some milkweed at Arbor Day.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect.
Poster support a native plant sale.
If we had a mobile garden, we could fill it with pollinators and roll it around to whatever's abandoned. So I love this list. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so just and to that, it's for peace off. I don't know how much the mayor's paying attention to this right now, but it would just be, we can check off 3 to get done in a single day. It's good to have meat given to a pledge.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
and revised mowing programs. That's something hopefully we can be looking into. And as part of the pollinator action plan, we know that No Mow May is a thing. Maybe we can add that onto our Leave the Leaves campaign. In trial parks where we can.
Would there be interest in doing it the weekend earlier, like the May 6th? If we're going to promote No Mow May, we might want to do that early in May.
I would personally be unavailable, but that's not a deciding factor.
Makes it less interesting.
What about that Sunday?
Sunday I could do.
The 7th?
The 7th, yeah.
Okay, why don't I send out a Google poll thing, see which of these 2 weekend dates people are available, and I will check on the availability of Glen Park for an event and make some headway by our next meeting. This was very helpful when you keep thinking about how to do Monarch Pledge activities.
Okay, all right. Okay, our ongoing work updates. We have Adopt a Tree. I know Jennifer wrote a note. She says that MailChimp upgrade is done. I think that scheduling email is an add-on that costs extra, $10 maybe. Should we consider this? Amy to create maps. Once this is done, I'll gather the materials to distribute. The committee can expect to receive a sign-up sheet for tag distribution. I will be in touch with working groups later this month. I don't know if anyone else has something to add.
I can't remember. We've had a few like working group meetings probably that we haven't discussed here, but just sort of dividing up tasks and making sure we're in line with getting things arranged. I did get something translated from our Soya department. Now I don't remember what it was. It was quite long. Maybe it's the welcome email. I think since our tags are in multiple languages, the first email on MailChimp is not. So it's kind of like stops there. But now we have some instructions in all, I believe it's 6 or 7 languages that the city does.
And I see we had a note to add 2 new languages to the tree tags as well, Hindi and Chinese, which I assume would be Mandarin.
I have not done that part yet. That's all I recall.
Okay. Do we have a translation department at the city? I mean, I know there are
We have
resources.
SOIA, the Somerville Office of Immigrant Affairs, so they do some translation work and interpretation, and they have communities, and they do lots of different outreach activities. So we can ask for their help with things, but we need like months lead time.
Looking at the calendar, once we set Arbor Day, would that be something to think about, requesting interpretive services for our Arbor Day event, like having someone there from the
So last year I
from
did
that group?
invite them, and the Canva, the flyer was translated into all the different languages, and I asked them to promote it to their networks. So that is there, but I think a few of them were planning to attend but didn't, and we didn't really have a need for interpretation. So it might be better, like, I don't know how to make sure that it's inclusive, but not
Overly
take staff
intensive
time that they don't need to be there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I was just thinking, when we do outreach for this, I think trying to get some of the schools to be aware of it, I'm gonna take that on as I claim that because I said it. Okay, Arbor Day planning, we have one. So Vanessa, you'll send out a date survey for, sorry, we're on Adopt a Tree. Okay, can we go on to Arbor Day poster contest? That would be Jennifer.
There's an update from Amy, who had to log off. And Amy says that we had 2 schools and over 90 students enter, which is amazing. And recall that this is the annual poster contest sponsored by DCR for, I believe, 5th graders, which is arguably the most adorable thing I've ever heard of. And what we do is we take all of the entrants and we put them, I believe, all on our website. And then we have perhaps the most pleasant civic duty. A few of us get together and select winners. So we had 90 students enter, and we're working on getting them online. So that's the update, and I'm so looking forward to judging.
That's amazing. There was none last year, so the outreach that they're doing is really working.
Yeah, they must have gone to 2 different schools. I know that, I mean, just kudos to them. Good job, Amy, Jennifer. Amazing. Tufts collaboration. Vanessa or Amy, can you please give a brief overview of our meeting with Abby and Ben?
So that's me then. So we met with 2 students at Tufts. It's been a while now, but Ben is, I forget his last name, but he is started a group to get Tufts Tree Campus USA going. So I'm also on a group with him working on that front. They have as a university, there's different standards that you have to do, but it's like the Tree City USA, but Tree Campus. So he's really interested in urban forestry and tree stuff. And what was the other person's name? Now I'm blanking. What? Abby. That's Abby. Right. Abby had reached out to us too. She's like an art student who's really interested in environmental studies and trees. So I sort of convinced them to work together on tree related matters. So they started a group. I forget what it's called. It's something cute. I don't know. Sorry, this is all very vague in my head. Wasn't really prepared for this. Anywho, we had a nice meeting with them. They're going to be doing an Arbor Day activity, probably on National Arbor Day. So or on Earth Day, maybe. So it's all around the same late April time. So we were hoping to cross promote events and stuff. So we need to loop them in for sure when we decide on a date, and they're supposed to do the same. I guess they're going to be promoting ours more than we will be promoting theirs at our event, but we can at least reach out to our networks. They're really trying to promote urban forestry stuff at Tufts. I don't remember what else we talked about, to be honest, so I'm gonna have to stop there. but there's some great notes somewhere for next time.
Well, thank you for digging deep your memory. That was great. That was fine. Farmers market tabling events, April 8th. So a tabling event at the Armory. Timing is from 9 to 2, including setup and breakdown. Volunteers are needed to help. I think we can get one table. I can reach out to those interested. So I'm going to say, if you're interested, send Jennifer an email, and she might use the Google Groups, which is fine, right? Fine for coordinating events. We're not discussing anything.
Yeah.
And I think I can, so that's before our next meeting.
Yep.
You know,
I had one note on that.
Okay.
I was shooting to have a draft of our species list to have at that meeting. I was hoping to have it today so we could review it, but that didn't happen. Is it okay if it's developed in the meanwhile? Can we send it out to the group, not for deliberation, but for like, if anyone has concerns, we won't print it and share it, but absence of comment would mean it's okay? Is that something that has to be like approved by everyone before it's a handout officially? Not sure.
Sorry, I missed what
or did
the
we miss
handout was.
about the recommended species to plant in your yard?
For and printing out for the tabling event.
I think oh, sorry.
I think if SAP approves of it, I think we can be a modifiable document. So I would be okay with we have one before, so it's just a different version of a native plant list handout that we've already been giving out that I don't think we voted on. So that seems fine to me.
Great.
Maybe we should vote on it later, but
okay. Yeah, if we ever publish it to the website, maybe that's a voting moment.
I think sharing
Vanessa,
draft is, sorry. Yes.
If you have a copy of the old one, I know I've looked at it at events, but I don't have it physically or digitally. So if we can maybe start there and add to it, and yeah, because I know it's a popular handout. So if we can beef it up with all the things we've been talking about, that would be awesome and a big accomplishment for all the talk we've been talking. Sorry.
Can we make Allison an honorary SAP member?
I think if we say it's a volunteer at your own pleasure, we can't enforce anything, but would welcome your insight.
She probably doesn't know what SAP is, so why don't you reach out to her via email and and let her know what it is and invite her that way. The way she can.
That would be great. Thank you. There are a lot of acronyms to get to know, so I appreciate additional information.
SAP is Species Selection and Planting Standards. No,
planting protocols.
Connor worked hard on that one.
Like tree SAP, yeah.
Okay, Chris has a hard stop at 6:30, so let's. Okay, SAP, we don't have any, that's our update, right? We're going to work on.
That's our update.
List.
Yep.
And I have no update from the use of pesticides of Maxwell's Green. Do we have anything around the TPO, the Tree Preservation Ordinance?
The thing that I would like to share is not about Somerville's tree preservation ordinance, but about Boston's tree preservation ordinance. There is progress on that on a couple of fronts. They did start from Somerville's tree preservation ordinance with like a copy paste replace of Somerville with Boston, which I'm just thrilled to that we were able to help. And now the conversation is actually sort of quietly reaching out to several folks who have been working seeing how it's going in Somerville. I know a couple city councilors were contacted. I talked on the phone with somebody, and they're being really thoughtful about creating something that'll be effective and not completely modeled off of ours, but we are definitely helping. So I feel like that's good news. It'll also give a chance there. The group that is working on the Boston Tree Preservation Ordinance is cribbing language on heritage trees from, I believe, the DCR programs. And my intention is to steal that right back from them so that we can start designating particularly important trees for special protections, and maybe start to shim in that there are some trees that we would never want to deliberately remove until they become dangerous. So no particular updates on our tree preservation ordinance, except that regionally we're getting some traction, and our work is being looked at by the people who are doing Boston. So I think that's pretty cool.
Somerville leads the way. Chris Dwan, in particular. Okay, Somerville most wanted weeds. I think, I don't think Amy or myself have an update on that. I have the most wanted weeds poster, by the way, in case anyone's looking for it. It's the one that includes, you know, fleabane, which we can just cross out and put a picture of Phragmites or something. So GLX corridor green line, GLX corridor greening. Vanessa, you sent a the seed mix that went into that was part of the greening. Do you know if, oh, I forget the station. One of the stations, maybe it's Ball Square. Like the entrance to the station is this hill and it's all seeded. It just looks like grass. Is that part of the greening? I mean, I guess it's on GLX property.
I'm not sure, but I imagine that it was. I imagine that was where one of the places the seed mix was put, but I don't know.
Yeah. If it isn't, I've been seed bombing it, and maybe we'll get some milkweed in there. Like places like that, it's just a slope, you know. Love to get some staghorn sumac started. I won't do anything drastic, but thank you for sharing that. And did we get notes? Did you share notes with us, Vanessa?
Unless I didn't push send, I sent. Yeah, I did, because it was the same document with David Fox note. Same message email.
Also, did I report this? I met with myself and Patricia Wild, and Jennifer met with Calvin Layton, who is the MBTA landscape consultant, and we met with him, and we're talking about the sort of greening of Union Square, and we're going to meet with him again and take a ride on the Green Line and just get his input on further, you know, for further planting of it. So I'll let you guys know when that happens. And have I forgotten anything? Does that take us to the end of the meeting? Did I miss anything? Any?
I will just really quick, because I know people love this, share the seed mix here. If I can figure out how to, there we go. If you wanted to grab a screen grab of the species mix of the native wildflower mix that was put down in those green areas, this is what that looks like. I am super impressed that we can get down to 0.1%. And I know they're just doing it by weight in big old sacks, but I found this fascinating.
That is excellent. And we can put all of those in our spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, good job, Vanessa. and Viola and MBTA or whatever.
I'm gonna give Viola credit on this one, at least to some extent, and MBTA, but I pushed it.
And in the spirit of sharing positive things and wins, a piece of my activism origin story in the city was the clear cut of the GLX corridor back in 2018. And now getting to participate in greening it with natives makes me very happy.
Celebrate the wins. This is almost full circle for you, Chris.
It is.
This is a moment.
It really is.
Wow. And just for context, Chris was just essential in the resurrection of this committee. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from February 16th? And we can discuss
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Okay, is there any discussion or edits that might need to be made for the notes? Okay. Oh, I did update last month on Calvin. Very detailed and well done, as always. Vanessa, I know you look over the notes and neaten them up too, so collaborative effort. They look good to me. Seconded. Okay, Chris gives us a second. All in favor? Vanessa?
Yes.
Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Breck?
Yes.
Murph?
Yes.
Okay. Tori? Yes. Wait, who am I forgetting?
Amy had to leave, so I think that's all of us.
Okay. Chris Swan? Oh, that we got it. We got it. Okay.
Majority. That's unanimous of our just barely quorum committee here.
Yes. We'll be replete next month, hopefully. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming to the meeting. Hope it was entertaining and insightful, and we always appreciate people who come. If you're from Cambridge, you can come. Thank you all for giving comment. Thank you to my colleagues. You rock. And welcome Allison and
John.
John. Okay, welcome to the team. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Oh.
Second. All in favor? Do we need to do a roll call on this, or can we just?
No.
All right.
I think so.
Okay.
First and second, and wrap it up.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to see you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.